Okay, good afternoon, dear students. So today we are going to discuss about the UV visible spectroscopy. This is one of the topic in the fifth unit. And fifth unit we have three topics: UV visible spectroscopy, NMR spectroscopy, and IR spectroscopy. So first in this class we will discuss about the introduction of the spectroscopy and electromagnetic radiation, and then we will go in detail about the UV visible spectroscopy. So first of all, coming to the definition of spectroscopy, like this is the branch of science and which deals with the interaction of the electromagnetic radiation with the matter. So when the electromagnetic radiation falls on the matter, which kind of changes it is going to observe, that we are going to discuss in the spectroscopy. So if the energy of the electromagnetic radiation is high enough, then it will go to the breaking of the bonds also. Means based on the energy of the electromagnetic radiation, changes are going to occur in the matter. So which kind of interaction will give which kind of changes in the matter, that we are going to discuss under the spectroscopy. That is nothing but which deals with the interaction of electromagnetic radiation, all kinds of interaction of the electromagnetic radiation with the matter, that we are going to discuss under the spectroscopy. So before going to that, what is mean by electromagnetic radiation? That is the radiation is coming out from the space and which is having enormous amount of the energy, and maybe in the form of wave or maybe considered in the form of a photons. So electromagnetic radiation generally we will consider as it is consisting of discrete packages of energy which are called as the photon, and the energy of photon, which you already know, that is E is equals to h mu, and that is in turn equals to, in terms of wavelength, E equals to hc by lambda. And each electromagnetic radiation is having two fields, that is electric field as well as magnetic field, which are oscillating in perpendicular direction. So electromagnetic radiation is consisting of both the radiation, that is electric waves, as well as the magnetic waves, which are in this diagram. You can observe that magnetic field as well as electric field, which are in perpendicular direction, oscillating in perpendicular direction to each other. When such kind of electromagnetic radiation falls on the matter, then based on the energy of electromagnetic radiation which is going to interact with the matter, there may be changes in the nuclear level or nuclear spin level or electron spin level, or maybe in the vibrations, or maybe in the rotations, or maybe in the breaking of the bonds, that will be completely based on the energy level of electromagnetic radiation which is going to interact with the matter. So as we have already discussed, there are some terms which we should know about the electromagnetic radiation. That is the frequency of electromagnetic radiation. Frequency, you all know, cycles per second. What is meant by cycles per second? That is number of oscillations which are moving from a point in the space per second. Number of oscillations, maybe of a electric field oscillation or magnetic field oscillation. Number of oscillations of electromagnetic radiation moving from a point are counted from a point in 1 second. That is known as the frequency of the radiation. And generally we have the units for the frequency, that is hertz. Hertz means cycles per second. 1 hertz is equals to 1 cycle per second. And wavelength, if you observe the diagram, you will come to know what is meant by wavelength. Uh, this is electromagnetic radiation waves, and now here if you observe, these waves are having crest and trough. So the distance between two crest or two trough, that is known as the wavelength. The distance between to crest to continuous crest or to continuous troughs is known as the wavelength. And the wavelength and energy relation, this is very important. E equals to h mu, that equals to hc by lambda. According to this equation, energy is inversely proportional to the wavelength of the radiation. If energy is high, wavelength will be less for the radiation. So now coming to the spectroscopy, which deals with the interaction of electromagnetic radiation with the matter. Now in the electromagnetic radiation, we are having many different kinds of waves based on their energy. Like highest energy radiation is the gamma rays and lowest energy rays are radio waves. Whereas the same gamma rays will have the short wavelength and the same radio waves will have the longer wavelength. As we are moving from gamma rays to radio waves, energy is going to decrease, whereas wavelength is going to increase, because both of them are having the inversely proportional relationship. And based on the energy, for example, if gamma rays uh, interacts with the matter, then the transitions will occur at the nuclear level. And if X-rays will interact with the matter, the interactions will be up to the inner shell electrons also. And if the UV visible light interacts with the matter, then outer shell electrons are only going to influence. And if IR region of the matter will interact, then bond vibration, only vibrations will occur if IR radiation will interact with the matter. And if microwave will interact with the matter, then molecular rotations and change in the electron spin also takes place. And if radio waves which are having lower energy, then only there will be change in the nuclear spin level. So based on the energy of the electromagnetic radiation which is going to interact with the matter, there may be change in the nuclear transition level to nuclear spin change level. So this will be entirely based on the energy level of the electromagnetic radiation. And here we are having one tabular column which is indicating that if X-ray interact, then bond breaking also possible for the matter. If UV visible interact, then electronic vibration, electronic changes will take place, electronic transitions will take place. If IR radiation, then vibrational changes will take place. If microwave radiation interacts with the matter, rotational changes will take place for the molecules. And if radio frequency interacts with the matter, then change in the nuclear and electron spin will occur. So based on this, we are going to discuss about the changes of the matter which is going to occur with the particular radiation which is going to interact with the matter. Based on that, we have UV visible spectroscopy, IR spectroscopy, and NMR spectroscopy. So we are having mainly three different types of spectroscopy in our syllabus. Now coming to the principles of spectroscopy. So under the principle of spectroscopy, we are going to discuss like how the change in the matter will occur when an electromagnetic radiation interact with the matter. So the principle will be like when electromagnetic radiation interact with the matter, then some of the radiation will be absorbed by that particular matter and some amount of radiation will be evolved. So we are going to observe in some cases the absorbed energy by the molecules or by the matter. Such cases are known as the absorption spectroscopy. If we are going to read or study the radiation which is absorbed by the matter by the interaction of electromagnetic radiation, that will comes under absorption spectroscopy. And if we are going to observe the radiation which is coming out of the matter after the absorption of matter, the emitted energy, if you are going to study, then that will comes under the emission spectroscopy. So based on the energy of light, energy of electromagnetic radiation which is going to interact with the matter, so some amount of energy will be absorbed and some amount of energy will be emitted. So For measuring the spectroscopy, we are going to use one special instrument which is known as the spectrometer. So for each spectra, we will have different spectrometer. For UV, we call it as the UV spectrometer. For IR, it is called as the IR spectrometer. For NMR, it is called as the NMR spectrometer. So absorption spectroscopy. So this will comes under the analytical technique which concern with the measurement of absorption of the electromagnetic radiation. If we measure the absorbed energy, then that spectroscopy is considered as the absorption spectroscopy. And UV visible IR will comes under this. Emission spectroscopy. This is the another technique where the emission of particle is dispersed according to some property of the emission, and the amount of dispersion radiation will be measured. If the amount of dispersed radiation is measured, that will comes under the emission spectroscopy. Example, mass spectroscopy. So mass we don't have in our syllabus. So basically, if we want to conclude about the introduction of spectroscopy, that this is the branch which is going to deal with the interaction of electromagnetic radiation with the matter, and how the matter is going to change its electronic level, vibration level, or rotational level, whether that is in the molecular level or atomic level. So any changes that are occurring in the matter, that we are going to study under the spectroscopy. So that changes we are going to record in the form of a spectrum, a photograph or a record, that we call it as the spectrum, and which will be calculated or measured by using an equipment known as the spectrometer. So interaction of electromagnetic radiation with the matter. In brief, what will happen when an electromagnetic radiation interacts with the matter? As I told you, we are having different energy levels for the molecules. One is the electronic energy levels, which are having high difference between the energy levels. And in turn, the electronic energy levels are having in turn vibrational energy levels in between them. Means if we are having two energy levels like E1 and E2, in between that E1 and E2 we are having many a number of vibrational energy levels starting from V0 to Vn, and in turn that vibrational energy levels V0 and V1, in turn they will be having many different number of rotational energy levels like R0 to Rn. So we will be having smaller energy for the rotational energy levels, and which are in turn placed in between the vibrational energy levels, and different vibrational energy levels are placed in between the two electronic energy levels. So when the molecule absorb the energy in the UV visible light, in the range of UV visible light, if the molecule absorb the energy, then electronic changes will take place. Means the electron will jump from one electronic energy level to the another electronic energy level, and difference between two consequent energy levels is 35 to 71 kilocalories per mole, which is having, if you observe further, which is having high energy difference between than vibrational and rotational levels. Now coming to the vibrational energy levels, this is possible when the molecule absorbs the radiation between the IR region. In IR region, if the electromagnetic radiation is absorbed by the molecule, then the changes will occur in the matter between the vibrational levels. Means the molecules will undergo vibrations when it absorbs IR radiation, and between two consequent vibrational levels, the energy gap is 10 kilocalories per mole, which is lower than the energy difference in that of the vibrational. Now coming to the rotational energy levels, this is when microwaves are absorbed, then microwaves of the radiation is observed by the molecule, then the molecule will undergo changes in the rotational energy levels, and which are having very low energy levels between them. So always energy between the rotational energy levels is lower than the vibrational than the electronic. Each electronic energy level is having many vibrational energy levels, and in turn they will be having many rotational energy levels. So now coming to the principles of the spectroscopy, mainly the spectroscopy will be based on two laws, that is Lambert's law and Beer's law. The Lambert and Beer's law we will discuss. According to Lambert's law, for example, if you are having any solution and through which if we are passing any light, what will happen? Some amount of light will be absorbed by the solution, some amount of light will be emitted by the solution, and some amount of light will be reflected by the solution. So the total light is equals to amount of light absorbed by the solution plus reflected and plus emitted. So like this, when we pass a monochromatic radiation through a solution, then some amount of light will be absorbed by the solution. Means there will be decrease in the intensity of the light based on the thickness of the solution. Means based on the length of thickness is nothing but length of the solution. If the length of the solution is more amount of light will be absorbed by the solution. So the decrease in the intensity of light with the thickness of the medium is directly proportional to the intensity of incident light. Incident light means whatever the light we are passing through the solution, that is the incident light. So when we are passing monochromatic radiation through a solution, obviously there will be decrease in the intensity of light, and that is with the thickness of medium is directly proportional to intensity of incident light. For example, I is the intensity of the incident radiation and x is the thickness of the solution. Thickness is nothing but the length of the solution. So according to this, decrease in the intensity, that is decrease, so we are representing with the negative sign, decrease in the intensity di with the thickness, that is dx. Di by dx represents the decrease in the intensity of light with the thickness of the medium, that is directly proportional to intensity of incident light, that is I. So here minus di by dx equals to ki. K is one constant. Now here on integration, we will get natural log I by I naught equals to minus ki. So finally we will get the equation. If we remove that natural log with the log, we will keep 2.303 log I by I naught, that equals to minus ki. Log I by I naught equals to minus k by 2.303. Here we are indicating this L. This L is the thickness of the medium. There we have represented with X. This is L. L and X both are same. That is the length of the solution. Log I naught by I equals to absorbance. So K by 2.303 equals to E, that is the absorption coefficient. So according to this equation, if we substitute this, A equals to epsilon. Actually this is epsilon, we call it as epsilon L. That is absorption equals to absorption coefficient into L, that is the length of the solution. So absorption, according to this, absorption of the solution will depend upon the length of the solution. L is the length of the solution. Beer's law. Lambert's law and Beer's law are almost the same. In Beer's law includes concentration, not only length of the intensity of the light, but also concentration of the solution also matters, that is observed by the scientist Beers. So according to Beers law, when a monochromatic light is passed through a solution, the decrease in the intensity of the incident light with the thickness of medium is directly proportional to the intensity of incident light. Up to this, it will comes under the Lambert's law, as well as concentration of the solution. So here we are going to add one more term, that is concentration of the solution. According to Lambert's law, the thickness of the medium only matters, whereas here not only thickness of the medium, means not only the length of the solution, but concentration of the solution also matters for the absorption, that indicated by the Beer's law. Let I be the intensity of the incident radiation, and C is the concentration of the solution, and X or L is the thickness, that is the length of the solution. Now minus di by dx, like how we have calculated for the Lambert's law. If we calculate in the same way, finally we will get A equals to epsilon C L. L is the length of the solution. So according to Beer's law, absorption or absorbance of a solution will depends upon the concentration of the solution as well as the length of the solution, that is the thickness of the solution. This is according to Beer's law. So these two laws are the basic principles of the spectroscopy. So now coming to the UV visible spectroscopy. As we have already discussed, when the UV visible range of the electromagnetic radiation interacts with the matter, then changes will occur in the electronic level of the matter, electronic level of the molecules. UV range, UV visible range is starting from 10 to 800 nanometer. 10 nanometers to 800 nanometers is the range of UV radiation. And here 10 to 200, that is known as the far UV region. So we are not considering about the far UV region. We are more considered about 200 to 400, that is the near UV region. And 400 to 800, that will comes under visible radiation. So UV radiation range is 10 nanometers to 800 nanometers. In that 10 to 200 is far UV, 200 to 400 is the near UV, and 400 to 800 is the visible region. So generally used solvent in the UV visible spectroscopy, that is ethyl alcohol or hexane. So for which purpose we use the UV visible spectroscopy is to know the electronic transition, means which kind of groups are present, which kind of basic molecule is present, whether it is having the benzene type of structure, or whether it is having the ketone, or whether it is having the diene, enone, the basic structure, basic skeletal structure we will come to know for the molecules. And all these spectral techniques are useful for elucidating the structure. When we don't know about one unknown molecule, to know the structure, to identify the structure of that molecule, we will go for the spectroscopic technique. So with the help of UV, we will be able to identify the basic skeletal structure of the molecule. Whereas with IR, we are going to identify the functional groups of the molecule, whether it is having OH or Cl or amine, like that we are going to identify with the help of IR spectroscopy. And with the help of NMR spectroscopy, the chemical environment we are going to observe. So when we combine both all the three spectroscopic techniques, all the three spectroscopic data, we will be able to identify the structure of the unknown molecule. So as we have already discussed, so if electromagnetic radiation UV range will interact with the matter, then the changes will occur in the electronic transitions. In the matter, electronic transitions will take place, and there are many different kinds of electronic transitions which are possible like this. So like in the first unit, we have discussed about the bonding, anti-bonding molecular orbitals. So here we are having the application of that. So we have different energy levels like bonding sigma, bonding pi, bonding n, that is the non-bonding orbitals, pi star anti-bonding pi orbital, sigma star anti-bonding sigma orbitals. So when the UV radiation interacts with the matter, then the electronic changes will take place, maybe from non-bonding to anti-bonding pi star, and this is pi to pi star means pi, bonding pi to anti-bonding pi, non-bonding to anti-bonding sigma, this is bonding pi to anti-bonding sigma, and this transition is bonding sigma to anti-bonding pi, and this is finally which is having very high energy difference, that is sigma to sigma star. In turn we will discuss about all the different possible transitions, like these are many different kinds of transitions which are possible when the UV radiation interact with the matter. So here sigma and sigma star transition. This is possible when an electron will migrate from sigma bonding orbital to sigma anti-bonding orbital. So this is the highest energy. If you observe this diagram, this is the sigma. Sigma star is highest energy and the lowest wavelength containing electronic transition, and this is possible in the saturated molecules because sigma sigma only. So possible in the saturated molecules like methane, which is having CH bond sigma sigma transition. In methane it is possible, and in methane sigma sigma star transition will take place at the maximum absorption of 125 nanometer. So if you observe 125 nanometers in the spectrum, that will indicate the CH bond sigma sigma star transition of the methane. Now coming to the another transition, pi to pi star transition. Pi electron in a bonding, pi bonding electron will jump or excite to pi anti-bonding pi orbital. So the compounds which are having the double bonds like alkenes, alkynes, carbonyl compounds, nitrile aromatic compounds undergo pi star transitions, where we are having the multiple bonds in such kind of molecules. This type of transitions are possible. Alkenes generally absorb in the region of 170 to 205 nanometers. If in any spectrum, if we observe this region peak, means that indicates that this transition belongs to pi star. So only we have 1 minute, Nana. Tomorrow also I will continue the same session. We will complete the UV spectroscopy, as well as after that we will start the IR also in tomorrow's class. N to sigma star transition. N to sigma star transition is possible when an electron excites from non-bonding orbital to sigma anti-bonding orbital, and this type of transitions are possible